highlights of today's very important event is that you will remember in this same hall, the Director General of the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, Dr. Joseph Ochoku, inaugurated and established the award for Fellow Peace Institute. And the first awardee was no other than the person that talked about no victor, no vanquish. Today, the second awardee, incidentally, is no other but the person that has fought Boko Haram, that has ensured that there is peace in the Niger Delta, and is still ensuring that there is peace in Mali and peace in West Africa. We're talking of Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And I want to request the former president to come to the podium now as the chairman of the occasion, not the awardee, to give his chairman's remark. Please, a round of applause.
I appreciate the Director General that brought us here, Dr. Joseph Ochoku, the Director General of the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution. Thank you so much. And let me appreciate the presence of the representative of the service chiefs and the commandant of the National Defense College, the civil society here fully. I am pleased to join you today for the International Day of Peace 2024. I appreciate the leadership of the National Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, Abuja. We are commitment towards shaping narratives of peace building through qualitative peace education and research. We are doing well. We appreciate that so much. Of course, when we talk about peace, for me, if you look through the various definitions, generally what we consider as peace is agreement, tranquility, harmony, lack of conflict, which is key, and freedom from fear of violence between individuals or group of individuals. I'm particularly interested in the theme for this year, cultivating a culture of peace. Peace is what everybody wants, because without peace you can't do anything. We all remember that peace is the foundation for sustainable development, and without it no nation can achieve meaningful progress. Of course, the United Nations was set up at the end of the Second World War in 1945, of course including the Security Council, to promote world peace and minimize hostilities across the world. So everybody needs peace. The whole concept of UN, our presidents are there talking and listening and discussing all kinds of things. But the bed of the UN, the whole concept of the UN is to ensure that the world lives in peace. So everybody must be involved in peace. Because no matter what our mission is, we can't do without peace. We can't go to a place to discuss whether you are talking about gender issues, you are talking about health issues, you are talking about education issues. If there are major conflicts, you cannot. So I expect all the NGOs, all the civil society in Nigeria, including the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation, which I am chairman, to focus on peace. When we talk about civil society, Nigeria is very rich. From the report, in the last 4 years alone, we have registered 174,100 civil societies for the last 4 years alone, in addition to the thousands that we arrested for the last 4 years. So we have army that can deal with the issues of peace, cultivating the culture of peace. What is culture and what is peace? And if you look at what is happening now, and you look at the 2024 Global Peace Index, you see so many countries are in conflict. And out of the 10 top countries that are in conflict globally, 3 of them are in sub-Saharan Africa, and quite a number of countries around us, including us, are in one form of conflict or the other. And when you look at what causes conflict in Africa, most cases is struggle for leadership, contestation for power, and that is the main cause of conflicts. Sometimes when you go to a society and people can tell you all kinds of stories, but by the time you do proper analysis and think deeply, you know that most causes of conflict is leadership struggle, and that is why I'm also worried about my country, Nigeria. People say politics is a dirty game. And the way we play our politics must be trained. We cannot play politics that will elicit conflict. Remember, Obasanjo, the former president, recently made a statement that politics is not dirty. But the people that play the politics come to play politics with their dirty minds and dirty habits and dirty character. And that is why people say politics is dirty. And in that case, we must all begin to think differently. We must cultivate the culture of peace. And of course, we know when we talk about the culture of the people, it has to do with everything that you do around you. And when we develop that culture of peace, you do it seamlessly. You don't even feel that you are doing something that is good. And until we get to that level where we develop the culture of peace, in this country, we will always have major conflicts in our elections. And one day, this country will erupt. And we all know how, let me use the politics, because that is what the major cause of conflicts in Africa is: politics or struggle for leadership. And without us strengthening that aspect, without us developing that culture of contesting elections peacefully, we will always be in conflict in Africa, and it's also in Nigeria. It's dangerous, what we are seeing. Let me use what we have seen. We just finished elections in Edo State, and even if you were not in Edo State, the Yaga people here were in Edo State. Most of us watch the media and read from social media and so on. So you see that there's much tension. Even though results have been announced, somebody has been announced as a winner, but there's tension. Because there are certain things that probably were done differently. And we must move away from that. In our electoral processes, develop that culture. I have been to quite a number of African countries, and Young Africa, I used to meet them in a number of those countries. Let me give an example, like a country in West Africa, Senegal, had their elections not too long ago. And because they have developed that culture, you see, they did not use any technology to do the elections. I don't want to bore your ears by explaining what that is simple. Here in Nigeria, we talk about technology. Without the human mind being ready to do what is right, even if you bring the technology to the manipulation, you turn to the card reader. That card reader almost caused crisis in the country. Especially when I wanted to vote, and the card reader rejected me as the sitting president. My wife wanted to vote, and the card reader rejected my wife as the first lady. My mother wanted to vote, and the card reader rejected my mother. So you can imagine that was it. A recipe for crisis. We have to manage the situation, otherwise the Niger Delta will have gone into flames. And of course, we have got the rest of the country. So the human mind must be attuned to that. We must develop that culture. In Senegal, everybody that was involved in the electoral process was ready to do the right thing. The electoral management body, like our INEC, was ready to do the right thing. Nobody was interested in manipulating the process. The security, the voters themselves were ready to do the right thing. So that culture, doing the right things, there. In Nigeria, we don't have that culture. That's why even ordinary election of a governor, the army will be involved. There are some countries they use Navy and Air Force, and sometimes the army, to carry materials in very difficult terrains in the riverine areas, but not play the role of the police. Rarely you see the military, because for the military to come out to perform civil responsibility, it requires, most countries requires the president and the commander-in-chief to issue a declaration. The military don't just come out. But because we have not developed that culture, ordinary election, maybe even election of local government chairman now, you see the military around. We have reduced the value for our armed forces. Management of elections, except the commander-in-chief call out the military, they don't go out. And because before the military comes out to perform response, it's a serious business. Now, because we have not developed that culture of peace, we use our military as if they are police officers. The military is not police. So, as a country, if we don't change, we politicians don't change our political behavior and embrace that culture that must be embedded in us, that it will look as if it's a part of our genetic makeup. One day this country will engulf or go into a conflagration that nobody can control. So we, the politicians, must know that what we do wrongly is wrong. And when we politicians justify evil things and say it is politics, somebody does something that is evil, say it's politics. It's not politics, you're a criminal. So for me today, as the chairman, I'm calling on all Nigerians, not just the politicians, because all Nigerians vote, all Nigerians to develop that culture of peace, especially struggle for leadership. The vote, the electoral management bodies, the security, the political parties, the voters themselves, the judiciary, and always relate elections to the game of soccer. In the game of soccer, while these young men and women are in the field, sometimes they can get so charged that they even want to bring their colleague down, but the referee will know whether to give you a yellow card or a red card. Because if the referee fails to do that, then of course who will kill or who can carry the ball, run into, push the goalkeeper down and throw it in. So the umpire, which is the electoral management bodies in Africa, must play that role of a good referee. And where a mistake is made by the referee, these days they have this video which is the judiciary. If the judiciary doesn't play that role well, that where there's an error and where the umpire makes a mistake, and the judiciary will correct it. If the judiciary decides to do the other way, then we are building a society where people, when you want to go for election, you prepare your army. We are lucky that they do election, everybody said it was peaceful. Well, the results have been announced, the judiciary will deal with the rest, but basically, because of the number of policemen and the military, there was peace. But will we continue this way? We cannot continue this way as a nation. So we have no choice as a nation than for all of us to build a culture. I thank you all.
But we looked at the work that His Excellency has done, and it really stand out in the sense that when you're in a position of leadership, you can decide to take any from the position. But for the peaceful coexistence of Nigeria today, we want to thank Your Excellency for the good work you are doing for Nigeria and for Africa and for humanity. And it is on that note we hereby confide of the Peace Institute to you on this day. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much, and the management, this noble body, for recognizing me for this award. When you mentioned to me that the first and only person so far that have been given an award was General Gwan, that's serious. Because when Gwan was head of state, I was still in primary school. I was actually in primary 5. He became the president of the head of state of this country. And I know he did well. So he's somebody that I don't think I merit being taken so close to him. But thank you for considering the little things we have done. If we don't have a country, we will not have a president. We must preside over people, and those people must be happy. A fool can kill half of his country to become the president and preside over the dead bodies and burnt houses. But I'm not that kind of politician. On behalf of my family and the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation, we have to thank you for this recognition. I thank you all.